Good evening. So welcome to this December meeting of Colne Town Council. We've got apologies from Councillor Howarth, Councillor Lord and Councillor Mann. Item 3 is declaration of interest. Does anyone need to declare anything of anything that's on the agenda?
Chair, can I just seek clarification? Item, the private item, do I have to declare confirmation on that one? Thank you.
Item 4 is the minutes of the meeting. To approve as a correct record the minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday the 14th of November. Thank you. Thank you. Has anyone got any issues with them?
Can I just confirm that item 10 was actioned, Pendle Local Green Space consultation that we wrote to Pendle Borough Council?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we've had a proposal and a second. All those in favour of the minutes? Thank you, councillors. Thank you. Item 5 is public forum. We haven't had anyone who was asked to speak. So item 6 is exclusion of the public. To determine during which item, if any, the public are to be excluded from the meeting. Such an exclusion would need to be on the grounds that, in the view of the nature of the business to be transactioned, if the public were present, there would be a disclosure to them of exempt information within the meaning of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act. This pertains to item 21, which will be taken in private session later. Item 7 is to receive a schedule of the payments from 8th of November to the 12th of December for approval. Is there any questions? Thank you. Can I have a proposer then and a seconder? Proposer, Councillor Hannah Woods and Councillor Bell. B, to receive a summary of budget, expenditure and commitments as of the 12th of December. Any issues with that budget? David, yes.
No, not issues. It's just a question, really. Obviously, we've got the original budget, first column, and we've got the current budget. So we've got some significant differences across a couple of these things. And I know that when it's got actual spend and commitments, we've obviously not spent some of those. So we're still awaiting quite significant bills for CCTV, benches, rental properties, etc. Okay. Which is why we're in surplus at the moment in the year, but we've obviously got these big bills. Do we know when they're going to be billed?
We're not sure on the CCTV yet. Some of the grounds maintenance will be billed at the end of each month.
Yeah.
So obviously we've got another 3 months to go. So benches, play areas, bus shelters, they will obviously come through. However, the commitment is there. So everything's been purchase orders have all gone in, so it's in the commitments. It's just not actually spent yet.
Right. And rental property progress?
Yes, we are currently waiting to get the drawings done to apply for the planning permission for number 2 Albert Road.
Yeah.
And then once obviously that's been agreed, then we can start with the renovations there.
Right. Okay. So we just earmark the costs already as being on the books. Right. Okay. No other questions.
Thank you. Can I have a proposal then?
Move them if you like.
Thank you, David. Councillor Wildman, thank you. All those in favour? The next item is banking investment opportunities. I think that's Gina. Just a report about the bank account.
Yes, so it's basically to get delegated authority for me and the finance officer to investigate alternative. That's me. Investigate alternative accounts.
Shut that door. In the words of Larry Grace.
And to there's 2 accounts that we're looking at. just to get authority, the account that we had at Skipton has now been closed, so we're looking for an alternative. So this is to look for two different options, and for me and Steve to investigate and open account according to the financial regulations, with the one that we consider to be the most beneficial.
Okay,
Just a quick question. Is there any reason why Skipton is getting rid of these accounts or us?
It's mainly because we shouldn't have had the account in the first place. So
I see. Okay.
okay. Item 9 is Lancashire devolution proposal.
oh yeah.
Oh, do we? Yes, it doesn't say so. Right. So have we got a proposal and a seconder then? Brian, David,
Chairman, I'll move it, and I'll move that we authorise Gina and the finance manager to look for alternative accounts for us and to bring it back for a final decision which one or two to go with on the 9th of January to the FES meeting.
thank you. Are you happy to second that, Councillor Wildman? Yeah. All those in favour then? Thank you. Thank you. Item 9, Lancashire devolution proposal, to inform councillors of the current consultation for the draft devolution proposal and to consider the town council's response. Andy?
Yes, Chair. I'd actually like to propose a motion that the Colne Town Council resolve to oppose the Lancashire devolution county deal that has been announced last month. The reasons being are that the county deal will not lead to any significant devolution of power or funding and will have no benefits for people living in this area of Colne. Pendle Council will lose millions of pounds of funding and local people will not have any say in decision making, which is with the new combined authority. This, which will be run by a handful of people at County Hall in Preston, Blackburn with Darwen Council and Blackpool. We've been told that the time is now to do a devolution in Lancashire, but frankly, not only will it be of little or no benefit to the people of Colne, but will in fact disadvantage them yet again. The details within the county deal are such that we will not get any bus improvement schemes or cheaper fares. They are name schemes of £20 million that are supposed to come with the deal, but there'll be no benefit to residents as none of the schemes are in this area of Colne. So again, I propose that motion is we resolve to oppose the Lancashire devolution.
Is anyone going to second that, please? Oh, okay.
I'll
David.
quite happily second it, but I've one or two comments I want to make, Chairman. We all know that for many years now, in this country, there's been a north-south divide, which everyone who lives north of Watford will agree there is a north-south divide, and they will agree that anyone north of Watford seems to miss out on the funding, and things need levelling up. And the situation as it is at the minute, the countrywide, is nowhere near fair. Now, in a sense, Lancashire is a little bit unique there because we've also, within the Lancashire County Council district, area, we have also got an east-west divide where anything east of Blackburn gets less money than Preston, Lancaster and various other places. And I think going down this road and having this type of organisation for dishing the finances out, for Lancashire in particular, anything east of Blackburn is going to lose out and they are going to get no favours done because we're always the last place that any money gets spent from Lancashire County Council. I have been for years. Really, no matter which party is controlling Lancashire County Council, we always seem to be the one that loses out. Perhaps it's the officers that's running it, I don't know. But I would certainly object on those grounds because I don't think there's any way on this earth that an organisation run by Lancashire County Council, Blackpool and Blackburn, who are the three big authorities, and carry all the weight in this county would deal fairly with a smaller district council such as Pendle that is out on the fringes, and I would strongly object to it, Chairman, and I'll happily second it.
Thank you. Can I just say a bit from the chair, in that there is a consultation out at the moment, but really whatever's said, I think it's already been decided that they're going ahead with this. But this deal, this county deal, is really undemocratic. None of the individuals involved with this deal can be removed or voted out. And it's unaccountable with a total lack of engagement, really. So that's another reason why, because it's so undemocratic. So I'll open it to the floor now. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chair. I'm in total agreement with Councillor Bell and Councillor Clegg. Another one, a couple of other points that will derail the life and the and that for citizens of Colne. We've already mentioned the buses and that. Where we've already got poor roads and poor pavements. We're going to get them even worse. Our SENs aren't, in schools. We're not getting any of them. The NHS service is getting worse, and it will get worse. We got in the last police enhancement, we got 1.5 police officers per Pendle. I think we'll get. I think we might get a leg next time it comes out. And I know I'm being facetious, Chair, but this is the gravity of the situation. Pendle Council, as Councillor Clegg has already mentioned, is the runt of the litter within Lancashire. We shouldn't be. We're one of the most populous, and yet we're shown the door every time anything meaningful is discussed. I am totally opposed to this deal.
We any other comments, Sarah? Okay.
I look forward to somebody trying to justify or be in favour of this. As with all these things, the devil is in the detail. On the system called district councils, there are 12 district councils within the proposed CCE area. That's the posh name for it. The districts would be invited to nominate 2 individuals to represent their interests on the proposed CCE as non-constituent members, i.e. you can come along, see what's happening, not really have much say in it. The proposed authority would have up to 8 members in total, 8 members, 4 constituent members, which is 2 from Lancashire, Blackburn and Darwin appointing 1 each, and Blackpool, sorry, appointing 1 each, 2 non-constituent members nominated by district councils within the area. So that's 2 covering 12. And you can have 2 further non-constituent or associate members to be appointed by the authority. In other words, a couple of yes men. They can have advisory boards. The proposed CCA may choose to establish. In other words, they don't have to establish advisory boards and advisory panels. The 4 great and good members from the county and the unitary authorities will decide for themselves, basically. The one good thing in it is nowhere is mentioned the fact of a county mayor. And I suspect that the 12 district councils are all pretty much not in favour of this. It's not democratic. That's just the point. It is not democratic at all. We've got
we would have as a maximum of 8 people deciding what happens from Blackpool to Pendle and to Colne. And as everyone knows, we are at the far end of that county, and it's just we should not touch it with the proverbial barge pole.
Thank you. Sarah?
Well, I think I'm going to astound you. So 5 years or so ago, Pendle Council sent Councillor Nixon and I on I don't know, it was a training session, and we got to meet the mayors, the Labour mayors of the Liverpool area and Liverpool, and also of Manchester. And we asked them loads of questions, as did other people from all over the county, because this was when Lancashire was first looking into it. We asked them loads of questions, and we said, why would you in Liverpool, or why would you in Manchester go with this model? And they were unequivocal. No matter how we probed them, they said, look, bottom line, 2 main things. We've got an extra £1 billion a year, and so would you get. And at the moment, for things like the Colne to Skipton Railway and major road schemes, it's all horribly fragmented in terms of one council says this and another council says that. And it's quite clear that government is set up to speak to one person or one little group of decision makers, and specifically the mayoral model, because that was what Lancashire was looking into at the time. So we probed them endlessly. It's not just the money. What about an extra tier of costs? What about, we really did. And they just said, well, yes, actually, it is expensive to have a mayoral office and all of those things. But compared with the advantages of the strategy, the ability to deal with government, basically on speed dial, and the extra £1 billion worth of cash, it's a no-brainer. And that is from only Labour people that I was talking to. That's what they said to me. So you can't say it's a Tory plot or anything like that. So I came away thinking, oh, right, okay. And then watched it over the next few years. And there was a lot of, I felt, instead of seeing it as an opportunity to say, right, let's look at everything. Let's look at everything from the top to the bottom in Lancashire. We've got the county council, we've got the borough council, we've got us town council. Truthfully, I'd keep us, because we know about allotments, we know about stuff in Colne. Nobody's going to have that level of detail that we have. But really, isn't there some confusion and duplication with the whole LCC Pendle thing? I think there is. Sometimes I'm not sure. I contacted Gina recently about a bus stop and said, no, I'm really confused. Is this ours? Is it theirs? Is it, if I'm not sure, then obviously most people aren't going to be sure about some things. So I think that was an opportunity to sweep that level above away and create a new level. But they didn't, because people don't want to vote themselves out of existence, I suppose. And for some reason, perhaps, I think, dipping the toe in the water and not wanting to upset the apple cart, Lancashire hasn't gone for the mayoral model that has demonstrably worked in Liverpool and Manchester and the West Midlands, and there are places in the northeast where they've got enormous investment for free ports. They haven't gone for that. And if you read this document, it says, oh no, it's a stage thing, it's little bit and often. I heard an awful lot over the years about how we're hard done to here, and I can only speak as I find, because in my ward, in our ward, over the last few years, major rural routes have been redone, not just Skipton Old Road, but what they call Dark Lane, a Coal Pit Lane, the road to Winewall, completely resurfaced. The next one on the list will be Castle Road. It does seem to be a continual expenditure, and the Ford at Foleridge, that's cost an absolute fortune. I don't think we've been hard done to by LCC, or not that I've observed. And with regard to the whole bus thing, I hear that there's a new scheme that's come through. And I think that that's something I'd like to put later on in this meeting for items on the agenda, because I feel sometimes that we're disconnected with what's going on at county, and I include myself in that. And Ash just fleetingly told me that there is this new BSIP scheme that's everything we wanted. The officers have listened, and that's about to come forward, and that is going to be millions of pounds spent in Colne. So straight away, I mean, but that's separate from this. So then I thought about, okay, why have they done it this way? Why have they decided to do the higher tier authorities and not all the borough councils? Well, I think it's a bit like the Colne bid, truth be told. I'm not certain of this, but when the last time there were votes on it, only 2 borough councils were against. It was Wyre and Pendle, and all the other borough councils were pro it. So rather like the Colne bid, where we draw our map, knowing who is not going to vote for the Colne bid, I think a similar thing has been here, because they had to have a unanimous voting from all the borough councils. That's my understanding. And if they knew that 2 of the borough councils were going to vote against it, what's the easiest thing to do? The easiest thing to do is to just exclude everybody, isn't it? I don't know whether that's the truth, but certainly there were only 2 councils against it, and they had to have unanimous. So we're in this position whereby we could be turning down £1 billion a year for Lancashire. £1 billion. That is so much money. And then if you think about 5 years, I mean, this isn't great maths. We weren't in the same set at school, but that's £5 billion for Lancashire that we're turning down. And that just seems incredible. Plus that sort of oversight that would give us that strategy for skills and jobs. One of the saddest things that I read in here was about university graduates in Lancashire. Only 25% of them stay in the county. 75% bog off somewhere else because they just don't feel that the jobs and the opportunities are there. We see, if you read this document, what our strong points are and what our weak points are. And we have the possibility to spend this money, whoever's in power, to try and put some things right, to make some things better. And I would go so far as to say that even if bizarrely they coloured in the whole of Lancashire, but for some reason they didn't colour in Colne, and they said the whole area was going to take a share of the 5 billion, rather like Solomon's Child, where the child was cut in half. I would vote for the whole of Lancashire to benefit, even if Colne wasn't going to benefit, which obviously is bizarre because it would benefit. So I just feel that it's so short-sighted for small. I mean, you can't say it's undemocratic, Mary, because everybody that is in the room will be elected by the government, will be elected by the populace.
Your colleague at Pendle Council, the councillor for Barrowford, he was very scathing, and he said it was very undemocratic.
Right.
And
well, you know, we can't agree. That's the thing about the Conservatives. We do have our own brains and thinking. So he hasn't perhaps met all these mayors that I've met. He hasn't heard about the difference to their areas, and I have. I've met Andy Street. I know about the huge difference.
But we're not having a mayor, are we?
No, sadly.
And
I think that
these billions, when they came, at the moment we only know there's 20 million being spent, and none of it's being spent in Pendle.
Which 20 million?
That was talked about at Pendle Council. I think you'd left the meeting back.
Oh, right, okay.
So,
well, you know, sometimes I do lose the will to live, but I do feel that this is a great opportunity, a huge opportunity for our county, and we shouldn't turn it down for. It's not the way I would have set it up, but we shouldn't turn it down for what I'd consider to be details. We should look at the bigger picture. So I'd like to call for a named vote if possible, or at least have my objection to the motion noted. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Bell.
Yes, Chair. It was
sorry.
Yeah, obviously I'd agree with what Sarah says on this one.
And that's rare.
Well, not too bad. I think the thing is that if we know it's going to take place, what is the point in being so miserable about it? believe me, if you sit there outside a party and you say, I'm going to be miserable at this party, you're not going to be invited in. Of course, when you put together a project or two, they might say, well, should we give something to Pendle? Should we give something to Colne? Well, no, they're ungrateful. They don't want it. They don't deserve it. You know, we're better off spending the money where it's going to get some, you know, happy people delivering results for their people, not just moaning all the time. Be positive. If you don't have projects ready, shovel ready projects, ideas, ambition, go get it stuff. There's words on here like investment in business, innovation, skills, etc. Do we just sit by and just go, we're not going to get that? Well, yeah, you're not going to get that if you don't ask for it. You have to ask for it. You be positive to be part of it. Otherwise, there's no downside. They don't take money away. Is our precept going to go down because of this? No. Is the precept going to go down at Pendle? No. But is the attitude going to go down? Yes, it is, because there's going to be more moaning from central Lib Dem policy-making machines, or local ones perhaps as well. So I too object to the motion, and I want my name recorded as well. We should get in there, use it, be positive.
I just ask through you, Chair, if the standing orders actually state that we have name lots.
Sorry, standing orders. Yes, if a councillor asks for a name vote, we can have a name vote.
We've got Councillor Bell, Councillor Robinson and Councillor Clegg.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a couple of things. I say you're looking through that paperwork when it states that Lancashire County, Blackpool and Blackburn with Darwin will be the officers in charge of Lancashire. So I don't see any representation from Pendle or from Colne being able to be heard.
Yeah, two people.
But the other one that I'd like to mention.
For lower tiers.
I'm sorry, but the latest report in the papers was showing that 8 local authorities were against the going forward. I know Councillor Sarah there saying that 2 were saying we don't want it. But look, recently, I think it was yesterday I saw it online on the Lancashire Telegraph was saying 8 of the boroughs were against this devolution.
Thank you. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. It might sound good on paper, and we might be sort of applauding our glorious government for being so kind to us by giving us so many millions of pounds to Lancashire. The reality check is that the way that money is going to be spent is not up to the 12 local authorities. It is up to a small group of unelected officials sat in their ivory tower who decide who they dole out the money to. Local authorities who are considered to have the decent people will get the money. Places like Colne will get nothing. If you look at the streets, you can mention all these streets in the decent areas of Colne, how they're doing lots of work on the road. Aren't they wonderful? Try driving down Chapel Fold or Selden Street down in Waterside. One of the 2% of the deprived wards in the country, we get nothing. Yeah. So saying we're going to have this, no, we're not going to get anything. It's going to be making it worse for the people of Colne. We're just going to get loaded over by a bunch of unelected bureaucrats and dictators. And I totally oppose it.
Thank you. Councillor David Clegg.
Thank you, Chairman. I thought this item was getting off to, a quite a reasonable debate, and then all of a sudden it's gone silly. What I would like to say is that the Colne-Skipton line has been mentioned. Sarah mentioned it, and I can't see what difference at all any of this Lancashire deal will have on that railway, because there's only 25% of it in Lancashire at the best. The rest of it is in Yorkshire. Because you get to stop at Wiswick, where you've just gone over Old Railway line to get there, then you're into Yorkshire then. So there's 3/4 of that line in Yorkshire. So whatever Lancashire decided to do, they'd only have 1/4 of the say in it, wouldn't they? Because Yorkshire would have to fund the other 3/4 of it. So I don't think it would make very little difference to that at all. And regarding the places for the districts, there is 2 seats. Yes, I agree. But Lancashire Council would have 2 places themselves. The other 12 districts, which accounts for about, I don't know, it must be, well, if there were 30 councillors on each one, that would be 360 councillors representing rough figures, the 12 districts. So all those 360 councillors would only have 2 places between them, which would be totally unfair, and it's totally biased. And I think I'm quite happy for it to be a name vote, Chairman, because then it'll let some people know if they were to look at the minutes, how silly some people have actually voted. So I'm quite happy for it to be a name vote, Chairman, and I think we should put it to the vote, because this debate is just getting us nowhere apart from it's getting silly.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to be silly. I just would like to acknowledge that the only 2 councils against it was 5 or so years ago. And so obviously when they moved away from the mayoral model, and I'm not coming at this with fact, but I'm guessing that they drew the map like the cone bid drew the map, and they decided to do it this way, I would imagine that probably then the other councils were miffed. You know, I would imagine that. I can't be certain, but I suspect that, you know, we're both right in a way. I don't agree with the way it's set up. I told you that having met the mayors, I prefer a mayoral model. They've not asked me personally, so it's not like I could put forward my case for it. I do acknowledge that it wouldn't be how I'd do it. I'd get rid of Pendle Council and have 1 tier above Colne Town Council. But they're not at that blank piece of paper. So it's always going to be a bit of a fudge. And it is clear that the 3 other councils, they do so much more than Pendle Council or any borough council. They have all the social care, they have all the education, their budgets are immense. It is a different kettle of fish from, say, the borough council. It really is. So I can see that sort of makes sense. I do get what David's saying in terms of there are just 2 people from the borough councils, but everybody on that table, that not very full table, they have been elected by someone somewhere. They are elected members. With regard to strategy, yes, I mentioned the Colne to Skipton Railway. It's any kind of trans-regional, trans-country network. I've met these people. That's what they've said to me. They've said the way that the country is organised at the moment is too silo-based. It's too in cells. And the big grand visions, the big road schemes, the big railway schemes, the opportunity is there to have that strategy with devolution. I actually feel, Councillor Robinson, that because of the indices of deprivation in Waterside, and there is a website that I've been poring over quite recently about it, looking at the indices of deprivation in all the different ways, we would be scored very, very highly in terms of any expenditure. I think actually, because things will be pegged to levelling up and the indices of deprivation, things in this part of the world would receive extra push. So I hope that sort of answers all the points. I'm not being silly. I really have looked into this, and I feel to turn our noses up at something that has worked in other areas and has brought a lot of investment to other areas would be foolish.
Sarah, if I can just say, I mean, it's city mayors and regions, but I think this is not anything. It's in between. It's a fudge. It's you know, less money. You know, 20 million in Lancashire is not not a lot. And I also think, I don't think they are all elected. I think it says in what I've looked into, there'll be 2 councillors, but the others will be officers from Lancashire County Council that are beyond the thing. But I think we should move to a name vote then. Okay. So we'll start with. Oh, right. Right. Let's have a look then. Well, it'll be Councillor Bell. Are you for or against? Are you for the opposition to the? Yeah. You're for the motion. For the motion. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Councillor Butler. For. Councillor Chamberlain.
4.
Councillor Clamp. Councillor David Clegg. Councillor Glenda Clegg. Councillor David Coburn-Price. Councillor Sarah Coburn-Price. Councillor Patricia Hannah Wood. Councillor Michael Moffat. Councillor Ian Robinson.
4.
Councillor H. Thomas. Councillor Mary Thomas, that's me, 4. And Councillor Wildman.
4.
Thank you. So that's the resolution. The motion's been passed. Thank you. The next item is free swimming. Yes.
Okay. Oh, I was going to say this is just obviously to get an indication of whether we want to support this activity again for the forthcoming year. There has been a 5% increase in the cost, and I do believe that the amount of Cole children utilising the service has actually gone down a little bit, but only a small amount.
Yes, Councillor.
Yes,
Clegg?
Chairman. As we will find out later on tonight, we do have problems with the budget later on this evening, but I think this item in particular is the wrong item to try and either do any cuts on or get rid of out of the budget at all. I think it's something that we should do because it's done for a reason. We all know what the reason is. It all hinges around health and safety. And I think to make any cuts on this would be the wrong thing to cut, even though the budget is tight. And I will move that we do the free swimming again for the next financial year.
Thank you. I think Councillor Chamberlain.
I would second that motion for us to continue to support the initiative for free swimming. I benefited from that as a child, obviously, the free swimming. I imagine that many other children have continued to benefit since, but I believe that I think this could come under with item 14 as well, obviously with the unfortunate threat of closure of Colne Leisure Centre, which obviously we're going to bring up later in item 14, but I'd second that.
Thank you. Sarah, and then Councillor Hannah Woods.
I've always.
Oh no, it's you, Councillor Butterworth.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think we should cancel this at all. Years ago, they tried to shut the free swimming for the old people, and the old people went in at 7 a.m. With a lifeguard that was switching the lights on, that sort of thing. And I wondered about it, so I went down to see them. There must have been about 30 old people there. Now, the fact that they get up in that early and they walk down there, they have a bit of a walking club to the swimming pool. And it astonished me that some of them got changed into the bathing costumes, but never entered the water. There was about 4 or 5 of those, and the cafe wasn't open, so they brought a Jacob's joint sort of thing, tea, coffee, flask. And someone mentioned the health and well-being. Well, that's it in a nutshell. you know, the fact that they get together, and the children, when they go swimming, years ago, I used to take about 8 of them. They had a little club, take them down there swimming on a Sunday morning, and without that free swimming, they wouldn't go gone. I even today I get comments like, "Oh, I remember we used to go swimming." Yeah, it's health and well-being is a major thing, especially nowadays. And to stop free swimming, it would be tragic, really, and affect a lot of people, a lot. So I agree with Councillor Pegg. I'm against cutting this. Thank you.
Councillor Sarah Coburn-Price.
I've always supported this, but and I think I've raised this before, Gina, and I know it's different, but you know I go to Trawden Parish Council, and Trawden Parish Council do this differently, and of course they're only dealing with one school, but they have so many, they buy enough passes for the children of Trawden Forest School, and it works out. So everybody swims just as is intended here. It works out at half what was quoted to them by just agreeing to support the scheme. So it's only sort of a few £100 for Trawden, but say it's, I can't remember the figure, but say it was £500 for Trawden, but they were quoted 1,000. But because they deal with the school directly and give out the passes before the holidays, it sort of, I don't know whether it cuts out the administration or I don't know. It's a much smaller sum.
I remember bringing it up with actual Pendle Leisure at the time, and I think they said that Trawden just do it differently, but saying that we weren't able to do it that way.
Okay. Yeah,
I did ask.
Yeah, it's
So
curious.
I know we did bring it up before.
Just to bridge the gap, we had the same thing with Laneship as well, because obviously there aren't that many children. So obviously they don't come from Laneship. You try to say the question was, are the Laneship children? The answer came back, we can't have a line like that.
Yeah, I think that's the same with the coal schools. Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor Hannah Wood.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with my colleagues there. This is a vital service that we are providing to our children, not only for their physical health, but for their mental health as well, as Councillor Butterworth has said. It also makes use of the leisure centre that we've got. Again, like Councillor Bell has said, that it's possibly under threat. Sorry, Councillor Chamberlain. That we've got on the authority. We need to keep this service going because we need to keep our leisure centre going. But it's for the mental health and the physical health of our children and our parents.
Yeah.
Because for them, it's the mental health of the parents, because sometimes they don't get out unless they're taking the kids to the school, to the baths. So I'm for.
Thank you. Can I have a proposer then?
We've had.
Oh, you've got one. Are we all in favour then, please? Thank you. Please show. Thank you. Do not ping. I don't know who it is. Item 11 is cone phone boxes. Dorothy, I think this is something Dorothy wanted on, but she's at an executive committee tonight. So are you speaking to it, Andrew?
Yes,
Councillor Bell?
I know Councillor Lord has been very vocal about this recently, where she doesn't want to lose the red phone boxes. They are, they're a part of English heritage or British heritage. I know they're not being used as phone boxes, but she would like to take them on as a town council. These are the two that are outside what used to be the old post office, which is now at Excelsior, and to keep them in there, because you go past them, they're a landmark, people will recognise them, but to use them for other things, which I think she mentioned, like a flower box or flower arranging, something to keep that character in this area. Now, I know she's not available at the moment, but I would propose that we take them on.
Okay. Would you want to speak? Well, that's it.
Well, we're not going to lose them. They're grade 2 listed. They're not going anywhere. My concern is twofold, really, and I've said this before. The first thing is that as long as we don't own them, BT have to pay for them. And I know that's the case because we went on a weekend to Cambridge. They had 2 of these. They were vandalised. I reported them to BT and they were doing them up. So that was somebody else's expense. That's true. And I was finding out who it was. But it was being done up by BT, wasn't it? Or Openreach or whatever. The second thing is the idea of flowers. Flowers are great and I love flowers. These are grade 2 listed iron structures. And with flowers, you inevitably have water and misting, dampness. And I could see us getting ourselves into a sticky situation whereby there is a decline for a historic listed structure and it's our fault. And it worries me. Now, there are lots and lots of these around the country and they're used for different things. And some of them are very, very imaginative. But I was sad to see there were some in Worsthorne and they've been taken over by the parish council there and they put books in them and then horrid things happened to the books and everything and it was all very sad. And now they've had to empty. I very much hope that Coners wouldn't treat things like that, but perhaps visitors in the Blues or whoever. I'm not sort of pointing the finger, but I think that it is problematic. Flowers are very problematic because of the dampness, and we haven't had anything else that's compelling that we think would excite and interest people. Art, I don't know, that wouldn't damage the structure. And we're talking about the budget later. There would be a budget to look after this annually as well.
I don't think we would take them over unless they were made into the pristine condition that we wanted. That we wouldn't take them over as they are now. I wouldn't have thought that.
I would have thought that we're very limited with what we could do with them if they are grade 2 listed. I know obviously some councils do wild and wonderful things with them, but we would be very restricted.
I think Councillor Chamberlain wanted to speak.
Thank you, Chair. As you mentioned, they would need quite a bit of work done to them before we obviously took them into service. And yeah, I've seen obviously where they have been turned into small little lending libraries. Some put little films in there, put little books in there. I've seen that obviously in Oxfordshire, where I like it where a village actually takes ownership of them. Maybe they could be used for defibrillators, perhaps, rather than a library itself. Maybe we could have a few more within the town.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Butterworth, and then Councillor Wiley.
That was my suggestion, a defibrillator, because around this room here now, there's 7 defibrillators in Cole, and I doubt anybody can pick all 7 out because they're in some unusual places. So that would be an ideal place. It's just off the town centre, near the bus route. So that would be ideal. But there again, before we did anything, taking anything over, we can ask the public, what would you do? And out of that, we get some good ideas. I don't think anything like I like the idea of flowers. However, it's a maintaining thing every day. It's not just a weekend job. It's maintaining them every day, which is costs. Defibrillator, yeah, that would work. That would work for me anyway. And the other one, I don't know. I'd like some ideas, and the best person to ask is the people that are on the floor, are actually walking past them. So they're the people to ask. So I won't discard them, but I'd get a good overview of what we can do with them, or what we'd like to do with them before we did anything.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Butterworth. Councillor Thomas.
Thank you. I think I had a vision of Councillor Butterworth on the floor there with somebody rushing at him with the defibrillator. That is a good idea for them, but I think, as has been said, we need to find out what it would it's not the post office anymore, would BT, Openreach, or whoever owns them, bring them up as they should be, because we all know they're listed, so they ought to be in good condition. Also, I think part of the problem may be that they're on land that is now owned by the county, and they may have some say in what they can be used for as the landowners, as part of the process. But I think asking people is a good idea, but there are lots of things that it couldn't be. I have the same reservations about flowers and that
Anything that can be set on fire.
Well, yes. We're probably giving people too many ideas. But I think, you know, what we can do is just write informally to BT, and to BT, first of all, saying whichever bit of BT it is that owns them, to say they need sorting out because they're getting a bit tatty, and at the same time ask if we did take them over what they would permit, what use they would permit them being put to. I actually saw someone using the phone box near the Union the other day. So there is still one phone box working in Colne. I'm not sure that no. They were using well, unless he was talking to himself, which is possibly not unusual in this area. But
how dare you?
I don't know whether they've still got phones in them down there. I'm not sure if they have. I'm not sure they were.
Well, can I suggest that we sort of write them and say and leave it to Gina to research and look at this issue down the road, because I think at the bottoms of them they're going to fall over. That it's all rusted and it's got really thin, and they really need something doing to them. So if they're not going to do, you know, that's the first thing, to get them so they won't collapse, and get the plastic back in the little windows and everything. Yes, Dave?
I've just texted Gina the number to do that. They guarantee that they'll do the work within 14 working days. But they are very leery about a full repaint. They say that they'll only do a full repaint once a decade. But anyway, they do act quickly. So if you call that number, they'll be straight on it, I'm sure.
Right. Yes, Councillor Wildman.
Have we decided we're going to write to Lancashire County Council as well?
If that's on their land, and saying, you know, can we do what we want to with them? Yeah.
So we're going to, so we contact them both.
Yeah.
About BT stroke LCC.
It's right. Item 12 is draft budget for 2024-25. Can I ask the chair of the FES to speak to this item, please? Okay.
Yeah, so this budget did actually has been to FES. Certain elements of it have been reduced. However, there are elements that have also gone the other way, given that we've now had word and that costs for the following year have increased. We have had quite a lot of those. So the original budget, I think that went to FES was it was more of an increase than the one that's presented tonight. So certain elements have been looked at. I did email them out early so that people could have a good look at them to try and digest the information. I don't know if anyone's been able to look at it to see if there are any areas where we could possibly save. Because I am open to suggestions. So yeah.
Right. Is that you finished, Gina, for the minute? Do you want to go now, David?
Well, before we go much further, Chairman, can I ask Gina, when she did send the email out on the 6th, which was the day after FES, asking if anyone had any suggestions where savings could be made, or indeed if they wanted to add anything to the budget, because that was mentioned as well, and where they thought the money for that was going to come from. Did we get any responses at all? Because we asked for the responses so that we could look at the detail of what their suggestion was, and then if it was something useful, we could potentially bring it into the budget tonight and come up with a slightly different budget. Can I ask if we did get any suggestions or comments in relation to those emails that were sent out to everyone?
No, no, what?
Okay. So,
So, Chairman, if we make any changes now, we're going into it blind technically, because we won't have got any background as to what effect that will have on the budget, which is the idea that's why at FES we suggested doing it, so that if some figures did come back, it would give Gina and Steve, the finance manager, chance to go through the figures, and they could outline what effect that would have on our budget for us.
right.
Obviously, I don't know if you know yet, but the gala is going to go ahead on the same day it's always been. The Soulbox Challenge has moved now,
Yes.
thanks to Sarah. Has moved to the 30th. So happy days. So I will be asking in April for some funding towards the gala for the road closure. So, but I was informed that I should apply in April. Otherwise, I would have made a suggestion like, can you budget in, X amount of pounds for the gala? So I've done as I was told, and I'm waiting till April. Should I actually, it's a question for David. Should I actually ask of it before? Because I know it's coming, and everybody else does. But is that something I should mention, or hadn't mentioned, or should have mentioned before? Chair, Davis.
Well,
I would have said no, because there's already a grant.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's a grant.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Because it's not a separate item.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear that I am.
I think last year you got a grant, and you got some money, and it was through the grant.
It was
system.
very helpful.
Yeah. Right. So, David, you've got questions?
Just a few questions. In response to your question, David, about suggesting things early, I think what I wanted to do is understand, I got a bit of a hint there from Gina about the fact that we've got a proposal of a 28.67% increase of the precept, which is obviously very large indeed. I think you said you made some changes since then, which have tweaked a bit here, sometimes downwards, sometimes upwards. So when FES went through this, line by line, I hope, comparing actuals and current budgets, etc., and looking for the future, what decisions did you come to, and what decisions do you want us to reflect on in order to reduce the precept increase? Are there any big items you're thinking of which you want to discuss with council to say, why don't we stop this, charge for this, change this? Are there any things that we should know about before I go through some thoughts I've had?
Well, if I can, Chairman, if you look on the top line of item 12, the one where it's got the gold, the red and the blue bands across it. Yeah.
Single page, yeah.
If you look on there, if you look at what the budget's set up at for this year, and you look at what it needs to be to provide everything that is on that sheet, there is more than a significant difference in the top line on there, is there? There's quite a lot of money difference. So you would need some very large, significant items to take out to reduce that budget down so that, you know, you were in single figures. It's nigh on impossible. And part of that is because we did try to penny pinch last year and keep the preset as low as we could, because we had discussions week after week after week, and then I think they were give and take. Some of your group wanted even less, and some of our group wanted a bit more, and there were a give and take on both sides, and we compromised in the middle. And a lot of that we knew we're going to have to be topped up with reserves, which it was. But now we are in a situation where we need the 24-25 figure, and because we didn't bring it up last year enough, there is the amount that we topped it up with out of reserves to bring it up to what we actually spent in the year, plus the increase again this year. And I can't find any figures big enough to make a significant difference. Although I will say, with juggling things around, I have changed some figures around and juggled things around, and I can honestly get it down to 25 from the 28. I can quite honestly get it down to 25. I can't find a way of getting it any lower unless someone's going to come up with some brainstorming ideas tonight of how to do it. And I just think that, I mean, if you look at the shortfall, if we didn't have any events at all, we didn't spend a penny on allotments, we didn't have a blues festival, that wouldn't cover half of what we should. So there are no items big enough to sort of bridge that gap unless we take a lot of everything. So I can't see any way we can get it under 25%. But if anyone's got some good suggestions, I'm open to listening to them. But we're running short of time now, because in January we've got to be setting our preset, because we've got to give it to Pendle so that Pendle can get it through their budget. And then it's also got to, you know yourself, all the paperwork has to be printed for the bill, for the council tax bills to go out, etc. And if they go out late, people start paying late. So it all snowballs, even on Pendle, it snowballs on everyone. But I can't get it to go under the 25, where I can get it down to there. Has that answered your question?
Yeah.
But some of the problems we've got are, and we all know about it, is last year, well, this financial year, we had all out elections this year. From what the costs were, from the cost of the all out elections that we pay to Pendle Council to pay for the elections from 4 years ago, which was 2019, the last time there was an all out election, it's gone up over 300%. There's no doubt about that. It's all in black and white. The business rates have gone up double. The shop next door to the town hall, which we discussed earlier, when David was asking how we were going on with letting that, there's considerable amount of work needs doing on it, and we're going to get it done. We're getting the quotes, and we're getting the job done. So it will be empty with no tenant in. And now Pendle Council have written to us and told us that whilst the work's being done on it for the refurbishment of that property, which could take 6 months, we've got to pay the business rates on it, and we've got to pay the business rate proportion to Combid as well. So everybody's just putting everything up, willy-nilly. We've also been notified this week that the company that provides our security for events and the blues, etc., are carte blanche putting all their costs up to us for the next financial year by 10%. So it becomes difficult to start putting things out at budget and saying, well, we can perhaps make a saving here when people are pulling rug from under our feet and putting their costs up. Also, next summer, I think it's June, we have been lucky over the last few years because we've been on a fixed rate for the electric and gas, which we set 4 or 5 years ago, and we've been buying really electric and gas at peanut sort of prices. When that expires in June, we don't know how much it's going to go up, do we?
I've been told it will be at least double.
Yes, so, well, it will, because you know yourself at home, your own's gone up double, hasn't it? So you know how much it's going to go up, and we're actually paying, Charles Dickens sort of prices yet, but it is going to go up. So I hope I've answered your questions a bit. Sorry, I'll be a bit more helpful.
Yeah, I'll carry on a bit, but.
If I could just make a very quick comment, David, I do think that last year was unbelievably remarkable in terms of inflation, uncertainty over domestic costs, and we strained every sinew last year. We really did, and I think it was the right thing to do. I really do think it was. I understand the pressures that you're under now, and obviously in the CP house, I can say that the bills have not gone up because the heating has gone off, and it's 8 degrees in our house. So it's most unpleasant and relying on electric blankets. But I don't know what David's going to say, but I do think that we did the right thing last year. And people need to see, they are seeing, that we are looking at all the options, considering everything and doing our best for Colne.
Thank you. I think Councillor Hannah Woods had a hand up.
Thank you, Chair. I know Councillor Clegg mentioned the elections. I've just seen this line now. It's my fault I didn't pull a proper look earlier. It's gone up 1,000, and we don't do elections this year. It's the borough council who do the elections, not Colne. So why have our election costs gone up £1,000?
We do generally every year we put a budget in for election in case we get a by-election or anything like that. If we don't use it throughout the year, it then gets put in an earmark reserve, and that slowly builds up until we have the all-out elections, and it enables us to actually pay for that when it comes through.
Thank you, Chair.
I'll just yes, David.
So let me just thank you for your feedback there, David. You're right. We do an awful lot of things. You've only got to look at the number of categories on this on these various spreadsheets and these cost centres, etc., to realise what it is that Colne Town Council does. And over the years, we've taken on assets, we've taken on services to provide them all to our people. That's what we do. As a matter of comparison, I always thought Nelson Town Council gets lots of money. I thought their precept was bigger than ours, but ours is now bigger than theirs. But their precept is around about, last year's precept was 700,000. And I've got their accounts there. They're not very good at publishing them. Gina is far better at publishing our accounts online. Nelson Town Council is deleterious, and I'm thinking of raising a complaint to them because they're so bad at giving any financial information to people. Their budget is enlightening. Let's put it this way. They don't do half the things we do. They don't do them themselves. They pay money for park maintenance. They pay money for this sort of maintenance. They don't do it themselves at all. That means, of course, they don't have many staff either, do they? So our wage bill is approximately 223,000 in the current budget. Their wage bill is 108, less than half, because they don't do anything. They have, as part of their budget, their 700,000 budget, they have a wonderful category called, you'll like this one, projects. Projects, code 4510, highways projects, budget 200,000. I don't know what they're doing with that. We can all guess, can't we?
Back streets.
So that's what their budget consists of. It doesn't consist of Halkin Coates Park. They do have a parks budget. It does say 140,000 in it, but that's just paying Pendle to do it for them. So they don't have anybody to do that. That's what their budget says.
What's their events? Fascinated now.
They don't disclose what their events are.
Oh.
No. The only outsourced facility they run, just like we run Primus and one of the other things, they have the Unity Hall. But again, they just throw money at it. They throw about 60,000 at it, and they make about 6 or 7 grand in income. So not really sweating that asset, are they? You'll be familiar with this return. This is the return that you do at the end of the year, which shows, you know, how the money goes, where the precept goes, etc., etc. Over the last 3 years, their reserves have gone from 382,000 to 687,000 to 1.06 million. As they get all this precept in, they don't spend it. So it's going up and up and up. While we're doing this kind of stuff across a whole portfolio of things, I said before, by the way, we do have far too many cost codes in here, which does make it that you always put a nice round numbered sum for the next thing, which is just always rounding up. So always be careful of that. It's no big thing, David, I agree, but it's a lot of small things in there where you're just rounding things up, hundreds here. And if you have this many codes, I'm sure you've all gone through it, helpful suggestions, Regina, but there's an awful lot of categories in there, which are all round numbers going up and up and up. So all of those, if you had 50 quid, 100 quid, each one of those, you've got tens of thousands of pounds in there just through roundings. So coming back to Cone then, never mind Nelson. Not worth the paper it's written on. So in terms of this budget, I had a look through this. I looked at it the last couple of days or so. So apologies for not getting any comments to you earlier, sorry. And obviously it would have taken a long time to write them all down anyway. But one question is, when you've got this first column where you've got the current budget, which obviously ties in with the numbers on the financial summary, have you gone through all the actuals that we're incurring so far and said line by line, does the current budget, because the current budget's changed, hasn't it, quite a lot in certain places. So we've got all the extra CCTV money, the rental properties money, etc. And I just want to make sure we're not rolling some of those variances, one-off variances, into future years. There's one or two that look a bit suspicious, that's all.
Right. No, what I usually do is I look at what we spent last year. I also look at what we spent so far this year and also look at what the current budget is.
Right.
And obviously keep in mind any projects that we may have that I know we may need to spend more on.
Okay, right, good. So in terms of some of them, we've got, just cantering through just a few of them, we've got a few biggish numbers appearing in staff training across different places. So provided we've identified training courses, fine. I know we've got more staff, so fine. But again, just have a think about what actual training courses we're thinking of here. SEAG are putting a couple of people on training courses for food hygiene. They cost like 50, 60 quid. They don't cost very much. They take up some time, obviously, but they don't cost much. So have a think about what we're doing with the stuff on this training thing. We seem to be buying quite a bit of new equipment, sticking in extra repairs and maintenance budgets here and there. So again, I know we sort of stripped them out of it last year, just to be careful, just to think, well, why are we putting in a 10 grand budget for repairs and maintenance? Let's really think about it. Do we need to do it right now? Can we phase it over several years? That's what we need to think of through the portfolio where we see them. Okay. We've got repairs and maintenance again. Where did I have another one? Yes, income. So things like events, we're obviously predicting that all the costs are going to go up, but our income won't. So again, let's try to make an effort. Let's set ourselves a target to say, can we get more sponsorship, more income, more involvement of businesses, etc. If we can do that, then we can start to say, well, costs are inexorably going to go up because inflation is still here. Okay, it's coming down, and we're down to a couple of % or so in a year or so. But let's try to work hard on the income. We've also got income from the town hall. We've got income at Primet as well. Primet's always an odd one for me. I always look at Primet and I think it's I've been inside Primet a few years back and I thought to myself, it's a nice small little building. And yet somehow we managed to spend 50,000 a year on it. Can you spend £50,000 a year looking after your house? It's a lot. Now I know it's got health and safety things and all the rules and regulations or whatever, but that's an awful lot of money to spend on something that we make 5 or 6 grand back. So what you're doing is not that many people are using it, and yet everyone's paying for it. Same is true of things like allotments and things like that. Things that we make a loss in inverted commas on, because that's what the precept is designed to cover. Are we getting the best? Are we really clamping down on those costs? Things like Primus, you know, we've got, I think I saw there's a cost in here for the salary cost. So a salary cost, we've got 23,000 in for the current year, and we've sort of prorated somebody, I guess, for 17,500 for next year.
It's based on a percentage of certain people's wages,
Right.
who do a lot of Primer, Nathan being one of them.
Okay.
Lily's another one, she covers a lot of Primer. So it's basically a recharge of a percentage of her salary.
Okay. Well, we're looking at sort of 2/3/3/4 of a minimum wage salary of 20-odd thousand. And again, that's, what are they doing? What are we doing? Are we cleaning it every single time somebody uses it? Are we cleaning it once a week? What other maintenance things are we doing? We've got a lot of costs in there in terms of looking after trees, gates, gutters, drain, the whole shebang. So we're doing all of this, and therefore, are there things in there that we're doing too much of? If you can't get extra income from it, then you need to cut back on the number of times you do it. If you can't afford to put the heating on, like us at home, you turn it off. You consolidate in one room, etc. You wear an extra jumper, those kind of things. Howard's making some grumbling noises there, but I hope he's gone through this on a line-by-line basis. So, things like another one on CCTV. Obviously, we know we've got the big setup this time, but we're forecasting pretty heavy investment in extra equipment in the next 3 years. Is that a choice? We've got 30,000, 20,000 and 20,000. We've got £70,000 over the next 3 years of more CCTV equipment. So have we got that thought through? Do we need to do it?
It's mainly due to, obviously it's often been said that we should have more footage on the play areas. Obviously we have one of the play areas is covered, but the others aren't. So it was just mainly for projects like that, if we wanted to introduce that.
Yeah. So again, that's a choice. You know, if the police make a pressing case, for example, to say there are lots of stuff going on here, really look at this, or it's our assets, our playgrounds, etc., then yeah, have a think. But do we need to do it? Is that something we could push back a little bit? You know, have a think it through like that. So these are the decisions that we as a council need to go through. FES need to go through it first, really, and then decide, are we spending too much in this area at this moment, or is it something where we have a choice? We got quite a few hefty increases on playgrounds in the same way. So again, extra 10,000 a year for things. We've got lots and lots of inspection costs, which seem to be, you know, almost doubling. I think some of them.
That's the Rossborough inspection.
Yeah. So we originally budgeted 4,000, current budget 10,000. We're sticking in 15,000 for next year.
Well, the inspections went up with the new contract, so our current contractor is the inspection cost is higher. We also now go to an outside company for the actual Rossborough inspection.
Okay.
And that's proved to be quite costly.
Okay. And then we come on to Colne Town Hall, which of course has the longest list of codes anyone's ever seen. We're still thinking we're going to do lots of work in a couple of years' time. So we're penciling in that 800 again, are we?
Well, we originally put it in for next year, and then we decided to maybe defer it for 12 months, see how the interest rates go, etc., etc. So at the moment, it's been taken out of next year, but then it's been put in the following year. So
Okay.
I've just delayed it
Okay. And now we have a, well, exactly. That's a choice, isn't it? Yeah, we could take some repairs now, or we could do the big thing. And obviously we got a drone now as well, I think we pointed out last time, so now we can do a better survey of it, or keep an eye on it anyway. Okay. I mentioned about boosting income, seeing what we can do on weddings and venues and all that sort of thing, opening up the town hall, getting better of it. I think probably we do need to do a little bit more on the neighbourhood plan cost. I think one of the things we've got for the future is obviously we're going to be revising and reviewing the neighbourhood plan. Now we've got one, and believe me, it's a very, very, very powerful tool when it comes to Colne area and Pendle Council. The stuff that goes on all over the place, I think I said this at the last meeting, the stuff that goes on all over the place, Colne can say no because it's in our neighbourhood plan that we don't allow that. So we are going to do another revision of the neighbourhood plan at some point, so we probably do need to factor in some extra costs there. Not a great deal, but we'll probably get a grant, as you say.
Well, there is still some grant money available, isn't it?
Even better.
That's what I was keeping in mind.
On rental properties, obviously, once we've got the current headache out of the way, then they make a profit, which is good. That's exactly what we've got them for, to make a profit. One extra suggestion, well, two suggestions on property. This town hall, as I said, costs us an awful lot of money. Why don't we try and put it into some sort of charitable heritage property trust of some kind? Might get us some savings on rates, might get us access to grants, etc. If we stay as a Colne Town Council occupying this building, well, we won't get any grants. So that sort of thing. I mean, our rates bill is 20 odd grand. You save 80% if you're a charity. So there's 16,000 saved already. There's just, so you could think about that for the town hall. Similarly, we've got the building next door, which is sort of empty / unutilized, underutilized. The first floor, is it?
First and second floor of the building.
Oh,
Is that not the dancing?
they use it all now. don't they?
Stage do.
How much do they pay?
It's, I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest.
Or should we do, I think there was a plan a few years ago to potentially develop them as flats or something? Half a dozen flats, rent them, sell them, capital investment.
The current
for the roof?
contracts are 5 years, so we have at least another 5 years.
Okay. But just another thought there, you know, let's think about our assets, think about what we do with them, and how we use them. And I think, well, hang on, what else did we have? One more, I think. Right. We've got the leisure centre on the agenda later, as we've touched on. So the future of that, and I've said before, what can we as a town council do to preserve assets of Colne? That's what we do. This is our town hall, we look after it. Nelson Town Council squat in Nelson Town Hall, and Nelson Town Hall and Market Street are under review. So Nelson Town Council could become homeless, you never know. But we're not homeless. So do we need to think about the leisure centre and what we do to get involved in that? The municipal hall. Again, we looked a number of years ago about whether we should try to take on the municipal hall as another asset for the benefit of Colne and the people of Colne and the visitors to Colne. Obviously, with all the Luff money being spent on it, it's going to be a wonderful and pristine building by the time we get hold of it. Roof will be fixed, windows will be fixed, balconies fixed, all these sort of headaches again coming through there. So once that's ready, the previous clerk, Colin, he said, don't touch it with a barge pole because the repair bill will be millions. Well, the repair bill is millions, but the government's paying for it. So we could potentially take it on. There's another option. At the moment, it does lose money, but that's losing money under the Pendle Leisure Trust cost accounting and central overheads method, which we don't have. So we could try and make it a success.
We haven't made it. We haven't discussed anything, but we've noticed that if it when it's you know, might be opportunities there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know, of course, it boosts the blues. We're looking at lower costs on the blues, but lower revenue on the blues as well at the moment, because we're considering what we can and can't do with the Mooney in the future, or at least this year anyway. So that's another one we could possibly think of. That might be a little cost in the short term, but a benefit in the longer term. And again, another way of Colne safeguarding assets. The final one is Gibb Hill Nature Reserve. So Gibb Hill Nature Reserve, obviously it's becoming a nature reserve right now. It's good. It is one. It's been ticked off. The Pendle corporate plan says that they will press ahead with giving Colne and Nelson Town Councils the joint running of the nature reserve.
But not the ownership.
And that means the running costs of the nature reserve, but not the ownership. So there's an exposure there of costs of running a nature reserve. Now, I think the preferred previous administration, our suggestion was to have a charity running it. And that was the idea for that. So again, we might need to just keep one eye on that. That's what the Pendle corporate plan is. That's what it said. It was approved the other night. So there we go.
Thank you. Do you want to reply to any of that, David?
I can reply to a few of the points. Only take the last one first, which is Gibb Hill. I think it would be totally unrealistic of Pendle Council to expect Colne Town Council to not own the nature reserve and to pay all their bills related to the nature reserve for them. And I think if they think that is going to happen, they're living in cloud cuckoo land. And I think Nelson Town Council will probably come up with the same.
Well, they have a very large project.
But that is totally ridiculous. As regards some of your other comments, yes, there is some mileage in having a property trust, because it would not only apply to the town hall. If we put the community centre into it as well, it would include the community centre, and it would also include that down there. Unfortunately, if we did go down that route, which we could, I don't think we could do it in time for it to have a significant effect on this year's budget. But in future years, it could save us having it to put it up very much, or possibly even on 1 year when we did do it, nothing at all. But I don't think that will help this year. But the idea is a good idea, and I think it's something we should run with. But I can't see it all happening before 31st of March. It won't. It can't. It's just not possible to happen. But it is an idea that we should work towards. But also, going off some of your other comments, I think even with some of your comments, we're not going to come anywhere near the figure we need to get that budget down into a single figure.
Possibly not. I've not worked through every single number. And obviously, I'd have to sit back with Gina and say, "Where's this from?" So, but yeah,
So you accept that?
it's a challenge. You're not going to get
challenge.
You're not going to get to inflation levels.
No.
No. I don't think there's anywhere we are. And I think if we don't bite the bullet and get things back on track, because of how much things have gone up in the last couple of years, and then 1 year we did have no increase at all during lockdown, etc. And if we don't get back on track, I think we're going to end up in a situation that's not going to be tenable, because we're going to be chasing his own tail all the time. And I think last year, I think it was right not to put it up so much, but I don't think we can do that this year. And I think the time has come now. We've got to bring it back onto track.
And is that you want to put that proposal to a vote now?
Yes, I think Gina's agreed that we could run with. She's come up with her figure, and in all fairness, her and Steve have done it the best they can, and they've cut off what they think they can, and they come up with the 28, and I've suggested to her the 25, because I can't identify where one or two little savings could come from that could knock it down to 25. And I got the impression that Gina sort of thought that she could live with the 25. So I will move that we set the preset at a 25 increase, but it'll have to come back to FES in January, because we've not only got to set the preset by the January meeting, we've also got to set a balanced budget as well, so that the figures have got to be brought in so that they balance. And I'll move that.
Councillor Wellman.
I'll second David's proposal.
Okay. Sarah?
So I don't know whether Gina wants David to come and sit next to her and go through spreadsheets. He knows all the codes. But the offer is clearly there. And obviously we're trying to get as low as we can, hopefully 25 or lower. Two observations. In the past, when I've mentioned the Trawden Community Centre, I've been sort of mocked slightly and said, these people are so rich, they're paying loads of money per hour, etc. But now SEAG actually rents the Primmick Community Centre on Wednesday nights for our youth club. So I know how much it costs. And in fact, it is the same. Sorry, the Trawden is the same as Primmick. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same, but they make money out of theirs. So I do actually feel that, Gina, you would learn loads, or perhaps Nathan, I don't know, perhaps I'm being harsh saying Gina, perhaps Nathan would learn loads to go over there and meet that team, because they have it totally rammed. They have session after session after session through the week. You have to watch your clock because you're out, and you only have so long.
But is a lot of them volunteers?
There's nothing wrong with volunteers, Mary.
No, not at all.
If we can leverage volunteers to lower our costs, that's what we need to do. And of course, there used to be a management committee and they just became tired, and you need to renew it and boost it. But I think we have a lot to learn from Trawden, and I think that we should do that, and that would help us cut our costs a lot. You know, we're expected to clean up after ourselves. I have to mop after the SEAG thing. I can't leave dirty footprints or whatever. So that spares the cleaning costs. The Mooney, I'm really, really keen for us to take on the Mooney, because since the ACE Centre closed, there's no focus on that sort of theatre and culture at Pendle Leisure Trust. And they've actually said that to me, said it's not our thing. We're sport, really. We're sports. So we've got this thing that currently loses. It's come out of COVID, but before COVID, it was losing about £30,000 a year. Now, that £30,000 a year was with poor insulation and a building that leaked like a sieve. So obviously, having spent £1.5 million on it, nearly everything has been to do with making it more resilient and beefing up the insulation. So you've now got a building that's much cheaper to run, potentially. You're thinking that potentially the losses would be less. And I would contend, I hope I don't sound mean, that we could pack the programme an awful lot more with somebody who is a professional putter-on of events and, theatre manager. We could pack that programme and, dare I say it, make a profit. I really do believe it. And that is an opportunity for us for the Mooney. And it also saves the Mooney at a time of great uncertainty at Pendle Council and Pendle Leisure Trust. We know that that's secure, but we're in the fortuitous position of being able to potentially take it on the second that all the money from the levelling up has been spent on it, and it's a really secure building. I would urge you to really think about that. With regard to Gib Hill, I just honestly think it's the most ridiculous thing ever, apart from which you've got one town council that's got a certain level of focus, our focus. Then you've got another town council that's got another level of focus, basically Backstreet. And they're not aligned, are they? They're not aligned in terms of this local nature reserve. It's the biggest in Pendle. I work really closely with Ball Grove. Ball Grove Friends are superb. They raise money from grants, they can get money, they do physical labour, they take part in work days. The people, Pendle Council needs to carry on owning Gib Hill, because that has to be that way in the law the way that local nature reserves are held. I didn't know that, but apparently so. But the management of it needs to be something like a really active, proactive friends group like we have at Ballgrove. And that's the way it has to be. And I think we're all as one then in rejecting any overtures from Pendle Council to manage it. It's another thing that we don't want to pay for.
Thank you. Anne, I think you.
Thank you, Chair. I understand where Councillor Sarah's coming from with the Muni. But if we're trying to keep the costing down, to raise the money to buy the Muni from the Pendle Leisure Trust, which is a trust.
It's a pound, £12. It's £1. I'll buy it for you.
But it's also by Pendle Council. So
it's £1. It literally is £1.
I think for us to buy that, and what I'm saying, because they are run as a business, and you've got the Hippodrome around the corner as well. You've got the little theatre down there, which are run by charity. So nobody takes an earning. For the Muni to then become owned by town council, you'd have to run it as a business. So you'd have to come away from the
make money.
You could do that, but I think it would be such a large undertaking because you have to hire more staff. I think that outlay would be a lot more than we can afford.
Well, I think Sarah wanted to speak next.
No, I didn't. Go on.
Oh, I'm on. So I actually I put events on, as you well know, in the Muni, and the money they take over the bar is phenomenal. The amount of money, they charge far too much, don't have the right beers, but they still make a fortune. So I think to buy the Muni for I'll give you the £1.
Me too. I'll give you the £1.
And to get extra staff, once it's all been done up, is a major investment. And some of the acts that are put on are phenomenal. But there's other acts that we can put on a Thursday night or a Monday night, things like that. The old people could go there. Me personally, I would buy that tomorrow.
New Year's Eve parties we could have.
Once it's done up, we can make a fortune, an absolute fortune.
Balls.
It's a little gold mine. Thank you.
Yes, Brian.
Can I ask the question, is the £1 for the leasehold or the freehold?
It's most of Pendle's things are, it's 10 years as a leasehold and then it's freehold after that. I still think £1. It's a good expenditure. It's cheaper than going to Spoons.
I'm happy as long as we get the freehold, but what I've been dealing with Pendle Council, it's £1 for a long lease. They want it back eventually.
Right, hang on. Councillor Chamberlain and then Councillor David Coburn, and then can we move on?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think now's the time to take the Muni out. £1. We'll have a whip round. Honestly,
it's all right.
We'll have a whip round. We'll have a whip round. If no one wants to, there we go. We've got a bid. But I think now is the time, obviously, to take the Muni on. We can get better acts there. We can stop with the tribute acts now. I understand we've got a first-rate comedian coming to Colne in December next year. We actually bought tickets for that one. But it's now's the time, I think.
Oh.
So, and then David, after.
Yeah, just a couple of quick points. Sarah's mentioned a bit about volunteers, and we have volunteers. Now, we know from the budget headings on Alkin Coates, Primmett and Cone in Bloom that they all used to have friends groups of varying shapes and sizes, but they've drifted away. So again, bringing them back on side, getting people involved in that. It's not the dead hand of the council taking these things over. We'll do it. We've got procedures, etc. It's a case of getting volunteers, using them, capitalising on that enthusiasm and that pride in our town and the things we offer. The only other point was, whatever we do on the precepts, and I'm not going to vote for 25 or I'm not going to vote against it. Let's see what happens in January. But I think what we need to do is to explain to the people of Cone what it is we do, what all of these stuff is, because people don't know. We touched on earlier, difference between Cone, Pendle, Lancashire, etc. Who's responsible for what? Yes, they get a lot more posts. Well done, Nathan. Lots of posts on events. but lots more posts about other things as well. That's what we can do as well. The other things here, that'll help market it for weddings, for parties, for uses and things like that. These are the things we're looking after. So some good positive PR. What we're proposing is essentially a band A going from £2 per week to £2.50 per week.
49.
Roundings. But yeah, it's not a lot of money there. So people can say, well, yeah, I went along to that event. I went to that park. I had a walk out there. Look at this. I looked at the wonderful trees. I looked at the wonderful CCTV. All this sort of thing. So that's the sort of thing we should be shouting about as well.
Yeah,
That's all.
getting people to understand what we.
Yeah.
David?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a couple of quick points, as a right to reply, because it was me who moved it when all's said and done. And one of them, Mr. David, actually, if he'd have been on FES like he normally has been, he would have had a lot of these figures a lot earlier, because he would have got them with his FES figures, and he would also have discussed them at FES. And he might have been able to put some of these suggestions he's putting forward now, he might have been able to put some of them to us earlier. So I will once again ask David whether in the future, whether he would take his place on FES.
I'll consider it, but I'm still smarting after your last election idea, which was just basically stop the Tories.
Well,
so if you want to stop the Tories, then you did. And now you're the administration, you dominate this room, therefore you can make the decision.
all I'm saying is the offer was there and still is there. So
okay,
let's hope moving forward we can have some sort of liaison between the groups so that we can get a more consensus with some of the items. Other than that, I don't think there's a right lot to add, Chairman, other than to put it to the vote. It's it's an unfortunate situation that we're in with the budget, but I think it's the only way out of it.
Okay, well, we will do that then. So you propose to accept the budget? Yes? 25%? Right. So all those in favour of 25%? All those against? Some abstentions? Yeah, okay, thank you. That's carried then. Item 13 is allotments committee terms of reference.
Yes, this is purely because the allotment committee, I believe that they don't meet enough and would like to change from quarterly meetings to bi-monthly meetings.
So there's no objection to that, is there? Yeah.
One quick question about the membership. Up to 7, fine. B may co-opt up to 2 allotment representatives, and then E says non-councillors may be invited. There's a difference between co-opting and inviting. The co-optees have a vote, and when people are invited under E don't have a vote.
I think the idea is, in case it's a particular one that a ward councillor would have knowledge of that perhaps somebody else doesn't. I think that's how I read it.
Okay. Just being clear between co-opting and inviting to join, whether that's a one-off invitation or whether it's a
Yeah, I think
can you
it's
invite
just
the whole year.
I don't know.
I think, Chairman, it's like because of what's on the agenda at that particular time,
Perhaps it needs to be clarified there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, are we happy with
On our
with
topics.
the amendment?
Just say for a special allocate.
Is it? Right, okay. Right, the next seconder. All those in favour? Thank you. The next item is Colne Leisure Centre. Howard?
Thank you, Chair. As we're having this meeting here, Pendle are in secret because from what I understand, the officers think there may be commercially sensitive information. discussing the future of the leisure centre. So I want to move two things. One, that the town council ask Pendle Borough Council and the Leisure Trust to formally consult the town council over future plans for leisure centres in Pendle as they affect Colne. At the same time, I'd like to tag on that we express our incredulity and concern at the recent announcement of the 20 million levelling up money that has been granted only to Nelson. This is in addition to the 25 million town deal that they've already given to Nelson, which I think has the, I hope it was an unforeseen effect of pitting town against town within Pendle. Essentially what it will mean on levelling up money, Colne has had 6.5 million and Nelson's got 20 million. I'm not sure that the problems in Nelson are 3 and a bit times worse than they are in Colne. Even with the levelling up money that we're very grateful for and that we've got, there have still been slight problems in that they've found more in the municipal hall that has been mentioned earlier, that some of the nicer bits of it, like doing up the toilets, won't now be able to be as initially intended. The market has still not been improved. In fact, purely by accident, whilst looking for a piece of paper to doodle my crossword anagrams on, I found a plan for the market which was dated it was dated February 2021. So that's a fair old, that's going to be 3 years that project has been in gestation. In view of, there's a lot more I could say, but in view of the time and the other items that we have to get through, I think, you know, I'll finish by saying that all we're asking for as a town is fair funding and a fair distribution of the levelling up money that the government are sort of handing out, and referring back to the comments that were made earlier about the Lancashire combined, it's not combined authority, it's 2 C's, I forget the second word. I think, you know, we're already being treated slightly as the poor relatives, and this, I think, will only get worse if they come to that. So I formally move the 2 paragraphs I read out at the beginning.
Thank you. Have anybody got to second that? Yes, Sarah.
Got really bad news for you, Howard. Nelson's got 45 million. Yeah, not 20, 45.
No. Chair, I was that in addition to the town deal. They got 25 for the town deal.
Okay.
I was discounting.
45 over 10 years, the second 20 is over 10 years. I was sort of pivotal in applying for the 6.25. Let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. Doesn't the Derby Arms look absolutely superb? These things lift a place and further things come. We're expecting our master plan draft this week. So we can hope to apply for more grants and have more shovel-ready projects ready. I think we need to be clear as well, just a small but pertinent point, calling it the right thing. Weirdly, it's called the Pendle Leisure Centre, not the Cone one.
Yes.
I know we all think of it as that, but for some reason it's called the Pendle Leisure Centre. It's really important to our town. The government gave a load of money to sort of help with the swimming pools. How many? Couple of 100,000.
It was
350,000.
Yeah,
to help with the bills.
154 Barley,
Yeah.
100 and some for
It's a
Wavelengths.
353 in total.
Yeah,
yeah, they gave that money, but I think we're in a position with all the swimming pools where all of them are in a poor state of repair. So it's not that one is better than the other or anything. They're all in a poor state of repair, and it's a really, really difficult situation that we're in. And I think that we're often in this position in Pendle because other places, like say Burnley is a town, that's a place with villages around it. And Pendle is three towns with loads of villages, and they're not necessarily relating so well to each other. Hence the sort of doing things in triplicate. You know, Burnley's only got one swimming pool. I'm not suggesting that we should have. We're a different sort of place. It is complicated.
Nelson doesn't have a swimming pool.
Nelson does have a swimming pool.
It's not for swimming. You can't swim in it.
Right, I know what you mean. Cost-wise,
A fun pool.
everyone's got a big thing that loses a lot of money and causes a lot of pollution, whilst also providing great recreational opportunities, which is a swimming pool. It's a really, really difficult thing for anybody to try to solve. And it's happening all over the country, People are closing leisure centres for the same kinds of pressures because the buildings are end of life, because the utility bills are so enormous. I don't know whether I've mentioned this before because, of course, I'm always at development management when you have this meeting, but we have done an immense amount of work into geothermal of mine shafts, of which Waterside is phenomenally rich. And I've been invited to go and meet stakeholders in the House of Lords next month because we're considered to be one of the most promising areas. If that's something we could leverage to make swimming pools sustainable, wouldn't that be marvellous? There is a fund that the government have that you can apply for, and they will pay for the building up of the grant application. So they'll write their own application, if you like, and they will pay for something like 3/4 of the cost of the thing. And I thought, oh, this all sounds incredibly in the future. So I asked the question of the people that run it, how long does it take from the moment that you have the idea that you'll look into it to the moment that you're actually getting the energy out of the ground? And apparently it's 3 years. And 3 years isn't that long. I was quite amazed by that. That's the average time. So there are some glimmers, but they're only glimmers.
But as for this council, we are representing the residents in Colne, and they've been dealt a shabby deal. You know, we know Pendle has the worst 8 wards. The deprivation is some of the worst in the country, but they're not all in Nelson. There's some neighbourhoods in Colne that are as deprived as that. And, you know, one township gets an enormous amount of money and the neighbouring communities get zilch. It's just not fair. And we should try to fight this if they are going to shut the leisure centre. And we should also say that, you know, this isn't fair, and we will complain about it and try and change it. But I mean, obviously, Nelson can't give us their money because it's ring fenced, but they could at least. I mean, I know that. I mean, they could pay for their own wavelengths refurbishment if they chose to. But anyway, I'll come to you, Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Chair. Just a point. The reason it's called Pendle Leisure Centre is because Colne is the actual centre of Pendle, and it was the first swimming pool. That's why it's called Pendle Leisure Centre. Barno, you've got Barnow's and then Wavelengths in Nelson. One of the other reasons why we're having problems with it is because of its energy coefficient is through the roof. It's not sustainable. and under the economic emergency climate. And that's also the same with both Barn Aldrich and Wavelengths. Plus, of course, they're not making money. That is why Pendle Leisure Trust are looking at which ones to close, if not all three. We had this at the start when I first moved into Colne in May, where we were looking at, I believe it was Councillor Wildman who put a motion forward regarding this, and I had a look at it, and it for them to do this, and within Pendle, it would take them 54 million to close all three of them and build one new one. Whereas to repair them, it would only take them 35 million. So they're actually going to be spending an extra 19 million to build one, but closing four, not three. It's four, because the other one would be the one at Seed Hill. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So that's a proposal. Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah, just to clarify on your figures there, 54 million was to close two centres, Nelson and Colne, and to build a new one at Seed Hill and relocate the Seed Hill Athletics track to Primmett grounds, and to refurbish the West Craven one. So there's a refurbishment because they're going to add this GP surgery idea. So there's sort of health and well-being and
But we don't have
combined.
55 million.
But we don't have 54 million. And as you say, the refurbishment, decarbonisation money, repairs, renewals, changing methods of working, etc. That was the subject of the confidential reports, which I've seen because I sit on overview and scrutiny. So I can't tell you what was in those, but it was looking at how you operate the places, what impact that has on the numbers, and obviously what the borrowing costs would be for that amount of money. So yes, I think I'd agree with Howard that yes, we should ask for consultation. If they're going to decide on what's happening to the Colne Leisure Centre and the Nelson one, I'm sure Nelson Town Council want to hear the same thing as well. They use their projects budget perhaps. So I think there's stuff we should be told. I'm not sure it'll make any particular difference apart from the fact they might say, well, how much are you prepared to contribute to its running costs, or do you want to take it over for £1? Another
No,
£1,
thank you.
my word. CapEx budget for next year is going up there. So I think yes, we should be consulted, but be careful about what they then come back with. I think complaining about town deal money to Nelson is a pointless exercise. It's been and gone, that's it. We know we have people to lobby with in Lancashire as part of the devolution deal, and we can lobby people at national government for the fact we've got high indices of deprivation, geothermal opportunities, etc. Ian will be relieved to hear as well that the Colne master plan we mentioned, this is one of Pendle's ones. They're doing one for Earby, Barn Aldrich and Colne. The Colne one will primarily focus on waterside. Because we told it to. They were pointing at the town centre. We said the town centre's fine. It's got the bid looking after it. It's got lots of stuff going on it. So therefore, Colne will benefit from that. What that gives is identifies projects. So it'll look back at the South Valley Master Plan of the 90s and the noughties. Dearest Lord Greaves drew that up. Some good ideas in there. Let's bring those back to the table. If the government wants to spend some money on them, let's deliver them. You know, they're shovel ready. The warehouse, the old factory sites are all there ready to be developed. So I think there's plenty of stuff there where we can talk about how you get extra investment into Colne. Nelson, you're right. Yes, every decision takes place in Nelson. It's a bit Nelson focused. I agree. They come out of their offices and they look at Nelson and they go, my word, what a miserable town centre. What can we do to that? Let's get rid of Pendle Rise. Let's do something else. Let's apply for loads of money. Sarah tried to get a lot of support for the projects that we wanted to put together for our high street and our town.
You remember it, Mary, the Heritage Action Zone.
And we were told that the limited resources in the economic development / regeneration team at Pendle were focused on the Nelson Town deal, so couldn't help. So when the question came back, do you have shovel-ready proposals and projects? The answer was, well, no, because we haven't got the resources from Pendle to help us. So one of the things we did You may have known that the Pendle's obviously got a new chief exec. It's got a new director of place. It's going to have another new director of resources shortly, because the one that's been there
Richard's
a couple of
going,
years
isn't
is
it?
leaving. But we've taken the director of place, Philip, on a tour of Cone to show him what Cone is like, and he's amazed because he doesn't. He might live in Yorkshire. He drives past Cone, through Cone, doesn't stop, goes to Nelson, goes to an office in Nelson, and thinks about, well, looks out the window, Nelson, there's a bit of lunchtime in Nelson. So taking him to Cone is a positive, ambitious thing that we are doing. I talked about being positive earlier. This is what you do. You say, here's an opportunity. We've got lots of things in this town that a small amount of money from Pendle could redevelop. We've got a lot of things where there are bigger opportunities. We've got a lot of problems as well. It's not all plain sailing, don't get me wrong. But if you focus on those sort of things and you spell it out to people, don't just sit and moan and say, we're not getting enough. Well, look down the road. You've got the Hippodrome, you've got the little theatre. The Mooney's got some problems, but it'll get there. So that sort of thing. The marketplace has been drifting a long time, but it's going to take place now. Building costs have gone up. It's not quite the project everyone envisaged, but it's going to be a proper, vibrant market with traders, new activities, all part of extra activities in the town.
We hope.
So
We hope.
we know.
We don't
We
know.
know.
We don't know.
Be positive.
Well,
Go into it positively.
Right.
Mooney will be open
But,
at the next year's Panto.
it's-
Buy our tickets now.
Pendle has no money. He can't
I
be
know
all
Pendle's got no
penny-
money.
money out to us. And the bloke we're talking about trying to do something with the sports centre with this thermal and trying to cut over geothermal. But obviously that's probably not going to happen now. But I just think it's just a shame, really. So that's all I'll say. Do you want to write a reply to any of this?
If it wasn't the time it now is, I'll do two things. I'll say we should put it to the vote, and secondly, I'll move standing orders so that we can finish the rest of the agenda.
Yeah. So it's the proposal that we asked Pendle the first two right. Okay.
Can we have the motion again? Sorry.
Yeah.
We're consulting and we're complaining about Nelson having too much money.
The council asked Pendleborough Council / Pendle Leisure Trust to formally consult Town Council of the future plans for leisure centres in Pendle as they affect Colne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could we split that? Because then you could potentially have something that's unanimous.
We won't vote for the Mooney one.
No.
I haven't said the morning one.
Okay.
That's the second paragraph, isn't it?
Do you want both paragraphs? No, just the first one. That'll do. Yeah. Are we all right with that? Yeah. I mean, we can say we don't think it's fair, blah blah, but it's not going to make any difference. But we want consultation. We want to know what they've decided tonight, etc. Yeah.
As a matter of interest, it wasn't the first swimming pool built. I think Wavelengths came first, then Barley, and then
Barley came last year. Yeah.
Because I was heavily involved in it at the time, the first thing that went on there was the SASH element, the standardized sports. So that was the first thing, and that was one of the first in the country.
Can I just?
Is ours anyone to win an Architects Award as well?
It did.
Architect Award was for the roof on the swimming pool.
Can I just say what they said at the scrutiny committee about the stats, that there was a crossover. I've disputed that because I said, yes, you would get a lot of Colne people going to Wavelengths, but they're going for the beauty treatments, the thermal, they're going for having the nails done and spa and all that. So it doesn't mean that they're going to use anything else. So, but I don't think they said, well, we can't cut down where they're going to. We just know that they go there. So yes. So are you all right that we asked for the consultation about what's going on? Right. All those in favour? Thank you. Thank you. Do you want to do the?
I would move the standing order that we allow ourselves to go beyond our standing order we need to.
Right, I'll move that standing order, okay? Yeah, can somebody second that? I'm sorry about this. It's a heavy agenda today, so the next item is internal auditor. I don't think that's going to take very long, is it?
Chairman, if you'll allow me to move something, providing nobody objects to it, I think we can move on fairly quickly. Very quickly, in the past couple of years, we have struggled to get in an internal auditor. There seems to be a shortage of them, like there's a shortage of all sorts of people. We managed to get one this year who, I will just say, he hasn't been as productive as some of the others we've had in the past. In fact, we haven't been able to have an interim half-year audit done this year because we haven't been able to find anyone to do it. Gina has now found someone who will do it, and they are cheaper than what we've been paying over the last few years. So that's a bit of a bonus, budget-wise. So what I would like to move, Chairman, is that we appoint Dalton Smith Accountants as our internal auditors from now until the 31st of March 2025, which covers the remainder of this year and the whole of next financial year. This would include the full internal year end audit for the 2023-24 financial year, an interim half-year internal audit to the end of September for the 24-25 financial year, and the full internal year-end internal audit for the 2024/25 financial year, with an option to extend the contract by 2 years to take it up to March 2027, subject to both parties agreeing. And I'll move that.
Can I have a seconder for that? I'll take Glenda who seconded it. All those in favour? Thank you.
Chairman, and if Gina wants, for the minutes, she wants to know what I'm.
Yeah.
It's on that page.
Right, the next item is planning, but just before, I'll just say to oh, Rhythm Lucy, so sorry, Nathan. I've been looking at him all night. Yeah.
So Scott Dawson Advertising have been appointed the marketing contract for the 2024 festival. They have been doing some marketing between the 2023 festival and the end of the year because tickets went on sale the Saturday of the festival. We've sold 109 tickets so far. We've completely sold out of the early bird tickets. We've sold 18 camping pictures as well. The operational elements of the festival, such as the first aid and the traffic management's been booked. The road closure applications ready to just be sent in. Colne Blue Society are about 90% of the way there with the main stage lineup. They've said it'll be ready for the end of January. We have got 3 main stages this year. We've got Pendle Hippodrome, the Exchange Project, and Little Theatre. They've got the fringe venues signing up already and sending in their requirements for the fringe element of the festival. The hop on, hop off bus has been booked back in for next year, which I think went down quite well with people up at the campsite. And we're slowly getting to the point where the marketing will kick in properly from January to have a big boost on those ticket sales.
So no Munich?
No.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Wyman.
Things seem to be going very positively. I'd just like to ask what's this ticket sales in comparison with this time last year?
This time last year they weren't on sale.
When I asked the question, I thought that might have been the answer actually.
Yes.
Just one quick extra one. Are we selling merchandise along with the tickets?
It's actually something that I was speaking to Colne Blue Society about today, doing like a bundle where you can get your ticket and some merchandise at the same time. But so not at the minute, but hopefully after the new year.
Right. Before we just go on to planning, I'll just talk to Sarah and say Lakeland heated throws. You don't need any heating on in that one. Lakeland heated throws. Absolutely wonderful.
Then Sarah could literally be plugged in.
Yeah. Right. Let's get on with the planning. The first one is 23/0765 FUL. It's storage land to the north of the junction with Corporation Street, Regent Street Cone. It's the retention of the car wash facilities and alterations. Yes, Anthony?
I would propose that we reject this. There's several issues on that. He doesn't treat the wastewater like the other car washes do. He allows the wastewater to obviously go through to the public drain, so it's an environmental health hazard. So we can't allow this to continue, and I'd move for us to reject the planning.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. I'll second that, Chair. It's not, it would be detrimental to the environment. I don't think we should approve this at all.
Has anybody anything else to say about this?
So this came about as an enforcement case. It was one of those, we sent our enforcement officer and then they said, well, put in a planning application then. So I'm not going to continue saying anything more. Obviously, it's not for us to reject anything. We can just advise that we don't support it. But that's how it came about. And I think we should move on.
The county objects, so that probably kibosh it.
Yeah. So.
We object.
Oh, we object. Yeah. Just object. Yeah. Yeah. We all agree in that. Yeah. Next one is 23/0778/FUL.
7, that's 2 miles outside our
Oh,
boundary.
it is. It is. Sorry. Right. The next one, it's the dentist down Skipton Road, 23/0798/FUL. Tom Fryer.
So this isn't a conservation area and so therefore doesn't come under our sort of town centre shop fronts. Could we just see it again, Nathan? So we can look at it. I'm sorry to bother you. It's behind. It's there. Yeah, it's that one. So you can see that the one on the left is the pre-existing one, and the one next door is hairdressers with a sort of bag puss shop front that's I think probably from the 1970s. Now ordinarily we wouldn't have anything to say about this because it's outside the conservation area, it's a shop front. However, I went and looked at what we wrote in our neighbourhood plan on this, and it said any new shop front has to respond positively to the building that it's in. So I looked at this building, it's a Victorian building, and I don't feel that that modernistic 1972 shopfront type thing, looks like there might be an oil crisis, perhaps they've all got heated blankets on inside, that to me doesn't respond architecturally to that building. Yes, it responds to next door, but that's not the question in the neighbourhood plan, it's that building. So I feel that it contravenes, I think it's CNDP2, if you could check. I think it does. That's my view on it, because it just doesn't, if you look at the first floor and the second floor, they're not fitting together. It's not responding to that building.
Anybody else, anything? I've got Howard and then Ian.
It is the dentist from next door that's put the application in, so it makes perfect sense that the old hairdressers, which is in a terrible state, matches what's there. I take the point about the neighbourhood plan and blah blah blah, but I think we have to be realistic about it, that it's going to go into the building next door. The building next door was, I'm trying to remember what it was like, but it's been like it is now for some considerable time. So I think we're just being a bit curmudgeonly to. There are times when you can bend with the wind, I think is the right phrase. And I think we shouldn't object.
Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. Bit of an awkward one. We've got the Colne Town neighbourhood plan. If we start saying, well, in this case we can turn a blind eye to it, in that case we can turn, then in some cases where we turn around and say you must apply to it, they can turn around and go, well, now you're discriminating against me because you gave so-and-so permission, even though that was against the town plan. So we've got to be very, very careful. So I will reluctantly agree with Councillor Sir Coleman Price on this.
Right.
I think we should object. At least put an objection in on the grounds that it does not comply with Colne Town, the neighbourhood development plan.
Right. Any other comments, questions? Do we have to vote on this?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've got first Sarah saying that she objects to that, and it should be turned down because of. I can't be involved with that. Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't really. So all those that agree with Sarah, stick your hands up. 7. All those that don't agree with Sarah, stick your hands up. Right, well, it's carried then. We do object. Okay. The next one is 23/0746/FUL, the Abattoir Junction. It's the Woodheads, isn't it? Installation of 2 water tanks. Woodheads.
Chair, I'm going to say it's replacing. It's not replacing. It's there used to be 2 water tanks there. They then did something to the water pressure somewhere along the way, and they didn't need them. They've now found that with increasing production, they do need the water tanks. So it's putting back to. It's in the middle of an industrial estate. As long as they're coloured to mix in with what's there, I can't see any objection.
Okay. Are we happy with no objection?
Yeah.
Right. The next one is 23/0750/ADV. It's Primmett Business Centre, Burnley Road. It's an advertising consent for a display. It's the one across from Landleague. It's that little, yeah. Yes, Sarah?
I think this is inadvertently caused by me. It's another series of enforcements because, of course, there always have been adverts there. If they've been there more than 4 years, there's nothing we can do about them. There've been a proliferation of new ones. Our enforcement officer has been quite active. I suspect that this is a response to the activity. I feel that this is an industrial conservation area that's an important gateway to Colne. It is not advertising central. I think that there's an opportunity lost here because Primmett Community Centre could, as you often see with industrial estates, just have a simple one totem with just da 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 da, and it's one thing, visual clutter removed. What we've got now is dump, 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 dump on every possible, on every possible surface, and this is just one of them. There were lots that we can't enforce. I think it's unfortunate that we've got to this position. Primmett's beautiful. It could be more beautiful. This isn't helping.
Thank you. And yes, yes.
You're coming up to say, obviously I can go back for a lot. I get blinded by the science. It's just not nice.
Yes, councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. 2 questions to ask. Is one, is this in keeping with the heritage area, conservation area that it's in? 2, is this in keeping with the Colne Neighbourhood Development Plan? If the answer to either or both those questions is no, then I feel that we should object. End of story. Well, as I said before, it's pointless having plans in place, having conservation centre in place, then saying, right, this is it, we've done this, pat ourselves on the back and you can do what you want. Pointless.
Yeah. No.
In that case, if it's not given the conservation area, we should object.
Okay, has anybody, is that means, do you second the proposal? Right, got a proposal that we say it's not in keeping with the conservation area. All those in favour? That's carried, thank you. Right, the next one is 23/0810/HHO. It's to 82 Knots Lane, Colne. Demolition of the existing kitchen and the erection of a single-storey rear extension. Again.
I've had correspondence with the former planning officer on this case. She wasn't certain. It's obviously not a conservation area. It has an existing stone extension, natural stone at the back. So do its neighbours. It's at the back. This would be entirely block work and render. It would be different from its neighbours, but it's at the back. It's not a conservation area. It's one of those little grey areas. I would prefer to see it matching its neighbours, not in white render. So it's harmonious in its neighbourhood, but it's not a conservation area. So it's one of those things that people might have views on.
Thank you. I'll have Councillor Bell and then Councillor Robinson.
Just running off what Councillor Sarah said, instead of it being a rendered or being a traditional stone built, even if they do put a stone effect, so it appears the same, I'd be happy with that. But like you say, if you go in the garden, you don't want something that's out of character. Yeah.
Councillor Robinson.
I think I agree. I know that area obviously very well. We need to retain the heritage of even though it's not a conservation area. In fact, I asked for that area to be listed as conservation area many, many years ago, and it was turned down. I think that area was turned down because at some point in the future, it may be worth demolishing and letting developers build new houses down there. Bit controversial. But I think, yeah, we need to look at this design code again and say that is this in keeping with the local community? In this case, it is not in keeping, and I think we should object again. I think we need to put the point across that people can't just do what they want in Colne. They may in Nelson, they may flout the regulations in Nelson, but this is Colne and we will not allow it. So they deserve it.
So, yes, Michael. Councillor Moffat.
This is 82 Knots Lane. Is this going uphill from where the fireworks shop is on the right? I'm right, yeah.
Yeah, said people.
The kitchen there now is the old stone one built on.
Yeah.
And I could understand why they want to replace it like, and there's a big high wall, so you can't really see it. But round the back now, they also have a dormer built, which is the seen, and which they're working on now. Yeah.
Oh.
Which reflects the one that's further up Knots Lane. If I remember rightly, there wasn't planning permission for. It's one of all the slates on the edge.
Oh.
Pardon? Well, the one this one has more or less the same thing round the back. It's like a copy. And round the front, there are developed window. The downstairs windows chipboard painted. But they're working on there now on the dormer.
Oh, right.
No, I was looking at that picture there, and that's the back.
Yeah.
That's not what it looks like now.
No.
So I'm looking at
So are we objecting then? Yeah.
Sounds like we are now.
Thank you for that intelligence, Councillor Moffat. Right. The next one is 23/0694/ADV. 39A Church Street, Colne. It's advertisement consent again. Which one's this? The what shop? Oh, yes. Well. Oh, right, near Weatherspoons. Yeah.
Just there.
Yeah. Sarah's always busy when it comes to planning. So what's council's it is, yeah. Okay, do you want to say something, or are you in favour of it?
Right, I was just going to say very quickly that, no, I don't know. There must be some. I must be ill tonight. I keep actually agreeing with Sarah Coburn, Councillor Coburn Price. No, I'm not that ill, but no. Again, I think we're in a conservation area. It's also the conservation area. It's the usual thing. It's not to keep the historical nature of the area, and the applicant should be taken outside and hung.
Right, let's move on. 23/0799/FUL, land to the northwest of West Lynn, Barrowford Road, Colne. It's change of use from agricultural to mixed use to retain a temporary stable and feed store.
Chair, if you look at this online, the original plan that went in identified the land as the area incorrectly, because it showed the land stretching right from Hareshouse Lane through to Barrowford Road. An amended alternative plan has since gone in, which shows it just being a small area at the Hareshouse Lane end, where there already is a concrete base from presumably when a building was there before. The
land is always floody and
no, it's not. It's not that far down.
Oh, right.
It's it's pretty difficult to pick a somewhere where you could say it's opposite so and so's house, because it's a bit neglected.
Sounds like Eugene's father's house.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
At the back of.
Yeah.
But I think for the purposes of stabling a couple of horses, I'm not quite sure why it's a change of use from agriculture. I thought stabling horses was agricultural, but obviously not. So it's what?
Equestrian.
Equestrian.
It opens it up for agriculture.
It's the land use. It's now that bit. I mean, which is, well, I don't know the scale of it. let's say, oh, it's below what it's below a hectare. So it's now a small bit, and the applicant lives in Barnholdsby. So it's not as if it's something, I think, provided it's that part and that home.
Councillor Bell.
Yeah, can I just get some clarification? Because obviously I've seen this now, and all I'm reading is change of use from agricultural to mixed use to retain a temporary stable. But what I'm seeing on the monitor, is this an erection of the stable, or is that already built? No, it's not. Well, I don't think so. Oh, retain, sorry. Mixed use to retain a temporary stable. Because I'm seeing that on the monitor, and I'm like, are they looking at changing the use of the building? Or is it the land? It's the land.
Yeah. Are we okay with that then?
Are we allowed to put a time limit on it? It's a temporary building, surely it must have a lifespan. Now, to retain a temporary stable at least.
Right, it's getting on. Is the next one just a TPO?
Yeah.
Yeah, that, well, the last one I've got is 23/0818/HHO 25 Wordsworth Road, Colne.
Yeah, there were no plans on the thing this afternoon. Oh. That's what I
It's
saw.
a very tightly packed
Yeah,
street.
The space there is in the garden behind 25 Wordsworth Road. It's a very big thing to build because it leaves very little. In fact, I think there's very little space to even get vehicles wheelie bits in afterwards.
Yeah, I know. That's that street Wordsworth, it's really crowded. Yes.
If you take that guy's garden and say, you know, you can only take so much of your garden space as an extension. That's taking up virtually all of it. It isn't an extension, it's a separate dwelling.
Well, it says that.
Yeah.
Self-contained single-story studio flat.
It's taking up virtually all of the garden.
No, it's bigger.
A
lot bigger.
You know where
It's on the corner of Tennyson and
Tennyson, and it's on the top left. Yes.
So Kieran McGladdery saw this and sent an excoriating email, CCing me and calling it in. So it'll come to Colne Area Committee. My view, again, agreeing with David, it's scale, but also it's poor design. It's poor design. Look at it. It's a flat roof. It's not even a green roof. It's poor design. It's an alien feature. It'll come to Colne Area.
Well, we object. And yeah. Too big. Poor,
It's too big and not in keeping.
and it would lose the garage space, which puts another
car
on a already oversubscribed.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Okay. Correspondence received.
Yeah, it's just the
Wildlife and
Countryside Act map modification order. I don't know if you've had a chance to take. I know Sarah and David have. I think it's pretty much routine, isn't it?
That's at the Legitech. Right.
Yeah. So
And also, he's also the age of Tom Hart. Apparently, all those things are stopping you for years. So, while you, it's not part of the East Coast way, so not really important.
Okay,
Well, but that probably shows you how often it was used
Well,
anyway.
exactly, yeah. He's probably concerned about people sort of, going down the side of the property. I think that's what we get wrong.
Gina, I did write to you with the sort of SEAG resume as well. Of course I did. Don't worry.
I bring it to the next one.
It was, Mary knows all about what things have been going on with SEAG, but it's nice for, it's nice to share with the councillors everything that's happening.
I don't know what's been going on. No, well, I know bits. Yeah. I thought you were something new you were going to. Yeah. And I do come to those meetings.
Send it to the next one.
Yeah. Date and time of next meeting, Tuesday, the 23rd of January. I hope you have a lovely time there because.
Items of future
All right,
agenda.
okay, I'll go.
I'm so sorry, but I'll be brief. So number one, we three, Gina, David and I went to a thing from LCC about healthier, safer streets. I think it would be great, Gina, if you sent everybody a resume because we're going back again in January, aren't we? I think that'd just be useful. I would really appreciate dates for Grotspot Walk, just some dates. The ones I do with Tordon Parish Council, they're on Saturdays and they're very popular. In the other parish councils that we go to, because we go to 3, there's always a bit at the beginning where it's borough councillors report and then county councillors report. And I think we benefit from that same format. I think it would be a thing that Dorothy Lord should do because she's on the exec. So she could just say major thing, major thing, major thing, major thing, major thing. And then Ash could come and say BSIP something, buses, and then he could answer any questions about roads and waterside. And then you've got him for sort of 5-10 minutes. I think that would be really useful in terms of communication. So that's, if you could put it on the agenda for us to discuss. I would like a report, and I don't want Gina to cite me, on the lanterns and the recesses in the hall.
Okay.
Yeah, let's at least know how much it costs. I would like a date for the neighbourhood plan kickoff, because I don't want to get in the way of your events. And we did say January, so even if we announce it now, it'll be the end of January, won't it? I'm guessing.
Well, I'll probably, we come back on the 2nd of January.
Okay.
So I'll look at it then, I can emails.
Right, because we need to do loads of publicity to get enthusiasm in the town for people to come and get involved. I'd like an update, though I'd be shouted at if you gave it to me now, about the town hall clock. On the way here, I noticed that some of our Christmas decoration illuminations are not working. The one that's on the building at YMCA and the trees, Ashy Shop. And I was reading in the Telegraph about, there's going to be a new national park for the nation. And there are 5 national parks in the running, and 4 of them are down south. But we have some of our area, including our house, in the South Pennine National Park entrant. And I think it would be great if you could put it on the agenda for the next one where we could discuss this, because wouldn't it be something that we should be lobbying for this area, talking about getting stuff for Cone and getting investment? If we got even a bit of our town as part of a national park, it would be bound to bring money with it and visitors and so forth, as well as protection.
They've changed it. We've got a lot of contacts with South Pennine.
I know they've stopped, haven't they?
And they stopped doing a lot of.
They've backed up.
Well, they've backed up.
But Now,
It's still in Hebden Bridge.
Just as
isn't
the
it?
government.
just as the government consultation starts. So the other places that we are up against are the Cotswolds, the Chilterns, and all of Cornwall. But all of these places are, you look what we've got on our doorstep. We've got the big populations of Leeds, Manchester. We've obviously we're in the north. I think that we have a lot to offer, and I think that we should all push for this. Really, well,
Yeah.
if you could put it on the agenda.
How
That'd be great.
was in the South Pennant? And Hebden Bridge and.
It's a big place.
Got a map somewhere of what it comes. It comes. I think it goes down to. It might include Ball Grove. I can't remember the map.
Wycombe as well.
With my colours in it, but I don't know how far
It includes Legit and Bents.
west it
Have you got that long list? Next.
Yes, I might need to just clarify.
Nathan,
Just one about the Christmas lights. The one outside the Union, it's a fault with the actual column, which has been reported to LCC. The trees on the shops and the one outside YMCA got reported today. To find out what's the fault with them.
there's the trees outside the in
No.
just no it
The trees opposite the Union, one of the lights is out on them.
and it's dangling down the the LED.
There are two
lamp.
trees outside thing. The
Well,
first
it's where the gym is that used to be the job centre where they used
First
to
one's
be.
lit, second one is.
And it's got, okay. Anything else for next time?
Thank you, Chair. I've been in discussion with some people at North Valley Community Centre regarding the overgrown footpath at the back leading out towards.
Old house.
Yeah. They want to know if there's anything that we can do about it. I will be in consultation with Peter Cattrall and the other friends and get some more information and bring it back to the next meeting. If I can have it on the next meeting, please.
Do you know anything about this, David?
Yeah, it's on land and they don't seem to want to do anything.
This is why I want to bring it forward.
It may not be, and it probably is official now because it's been walked for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm chairman of the Countryside Access Forum for Pendle Council, so it's me that you need to speak to. So I will get that reported to Tom Partridge in the morning.
Well, thank you very much.
Right. Now we have, but can we we're going to have, but we have to go and exclude the public. So if we turn